A Russian oil refinery located in the Caspian Sea, approximately 1,110 kilometers from Ukraine, was struck by Ukraine.
In recent days, some of the steps taken by Ukraine have gone far beyond being an ordinary response. Targets normally considered difficult to reach are being struck. Energy-related sites are coming under pressure, and the impact of these moves is no longer confined to the front line. At the same time, developments that strain internal balances and sharp messages delivered along borderlines are being added to the picture. This is not about a single attack or a single decision. We are talking about a broader, more planned chain of actions spreading across different domains. Today, we will try to unravel where this major movement is manifesting itself, why it is touching so many different areas at the same time, and what it tells us. In recent times, familiar boundaries have been disappearing rapidly. The front line is no longer limited to lines drawn on a map. Targets are being chosen farther away, deeper, and in more unexpected places. Statements that Ukrainian special forces struck Lukoil platforms in the Caspian Sea show exactly this. According to the information shared, the operation was carried out hundreds of kilometers away from territories under Ukrainian control. So here, not only a facility, but the very perception of distance is being targeted. Filanovsky, Yuri Korchagin, and Valery Grafer platforms. The names may be technical, but the message is quite clear. Areas of the energy map once considered safe are no longer as distant as they used to be. Moreover, this move was not isolated. In the same time frame, a Buk M3 air defense system in the occupied Luhansk region and a military depot near Kherson were also targeted. This detail sharpens the picture. Energy, air defense, logistics, different layers under pressure at the same time. In other words, this is not random, but a deliberately chosen rhythm. The platforms in the Caspian Sea therefore occupy a special place. The Filanovsky field is known as one of Russia's largest offshore energy reserves. Any disruption there is not merely a battlefield development. It creates a much broader impact, extending from economic planning to security. This is why assessments of the damage are being closely monitored. The real strength of such attacks does not come from striking a single point. Energy production, security measures, insurance calculations, and protection chains are all strained simultaneously. The effect does not end at the platform itself. It spreads in waves. This shows that even areas Russia considers its rear can no longer operate comfortably. The emerging picture is becoming clearer. Pressure is not being applied only on the front line, but also through energy and logistics arteries. Distance, sea, or geography alone no longer provide protection. And this approach explains why the other topics we are about to discuss are also drawing so much attention. This pressure on energy infrastructure does not remain limited to the battlefield. As the ripple effect moves toward the center, it is no longer the front that dominates discussion, but internal balances. And at this point, attention turns to Chechnya. According to information attributed to Ukrainian intelligence, Ramzan Kadyrov's health condition is said to be serious. The claims suggest he is receiving treatment for kidney failure, and that family members have gathered in large numbers. This picture has triggered another process in Moscow, the search for a successor. For the Kremlin, Chechnya is not an ordinary region. It is an area where power rests not on institutions, but on personal loyalty and fear. For this reason, the possibility of Kadyrov stepping aside does not merely mean a change of name. It could leave behind a vacuum that is difficult to control. As a result, possible scenarios are being discussed intensively in Moscow. Names such as Magomed Daudov, Apti Alaudinov, and Kadyrov's eldest son, Akhmet Kadyrov, are being mentioned. However, this appears less a matter of preference than an effort to maintain control at any cost. Because the system Vladimir Putin established in Chechnya relies heavily on Kadyrov's personal weight. If this balance is disrupted, competition could emerge among clans and security structures. This is precisely the risk Moscow wants to avoid. While Russia is under intense pressure externally, it does not want to open a new crisis front internally. Therefore, developments in Chechnya are being watched not merely as health claims, but as an indicator of how quickly and forcefully the Kremlin can react. This topic represents another piece, showing how pressure built on the battlefield echoes at the center. As pressure deepens on the ground, the message is now being carried directly to Europe's doorstep. Russia's use of an Oreshnik missile in a region close to NATO borders was read not merely as a military move, but as a clear political signal. The missile's extremely high speed and the chosen geography made it unmistakable who the message was directed at. The subsequent meeting of the United Nations Security Council showed that the issue was no longer seen as confined to the battlefield. The critical point here is Moscow's framing of this move as a response. The attack came while security guarantees and diplomatic contacts were being discussed, revealing that Russia chose to escalate pressure rather than language. Selecting an area close to NATO borders carried a warning aimed less at Ukraine than at Europe. In this sense, the missile was used as a message tool, regardless of its specific target. But the picture does not end there. When the same Oreshnik missile is examined not from the battlefield, but from the laboratory, a different image emerges. Images shared from the wreckage, examined in Kyiv, challenge Russia's narrative of a breakthrough technology. In the missile's guidance and control components, traces of older designs appear more prominent than next-generation systems. Details suggesting that some parts were previously manufactured for different projects also draw attention. Even more important are the findings related to the warhead structure. Oreshnik is theoretically known to carry multiple submunitions, but field footage suggests these do not always function as planned. Extreme speed appears to create problems not only in targeting, but also in structural integrity. In other words, a gap emerges between power on paper and results in the field. The contradiction is clear. On one side, a harsh threat narrative directed at Europe, and an emphasis on speed. On the other, a system that does not always deliver the expected effect when examined on the ground. This turns Oreshnik into a tool that stands out more for its psychological and political impact than its pure military value. In short, when missile use near NATO borders is read together with the technical realities emerging from the wreckage, it becomes clear that Russia is using this weapon less as a balance breaker, and more as a message that strains the balance. And this topic settles into place as a key link explaining why pressure on the battlefield is simultaneously tightening diplomacy. As pressure on the ground increases, the language of preparation on the Western Front is also changing. This time, the issue is not only providing support, but being ready for what comes after. UK Defence Secretary John Healey announced that a £200 million preparation budget has been allocated for British troops that could be deployed to Ukraine in a post-conflict scenario. The timing here is notable. Healey's message is not a delayed answer to the question, what would we do if there is peace? The aim is to build a capacity that can be deployed from day one. In other words, the UK is not waiting for the outcome. It is planning for what comes next. This preparation is not limited to troop deployment. The same statements emphasized that mass production of new interception systems against drones will begin. Technical knowledge obtained from Ukraine is being combined with British manufacturing infrastructure, with the aim of sending these systems back to the field quickly. Plans to produce thousands per month show that this is not a temporary move, but a long-term preparation. In summary, this step shows that the pressure we see on the battlefield is also accelerating diplomacy and defense planning. The UK's message is clear. How the war will end may be uncertain, but being unprepared for what follows is not an option. This becomes the final piece in the broader picture, showing that the West is now calculating not only today, but tomorrow at the same time. If we sum up everything we discussed today in a single sentence, pressure is deepening on the battlefield, internal balances are being strained, borders are being tested, and the West is now planning not only for today, but for what comes after. These topics, which may seem fragmented, are moving forward like different links in the same chain. The main question is this: do you think this picture is heading toward a controlled search for balance, or are we on the edge of a much harsher rupture? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. If you find this kind of calm but in-depth analysis useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the comments, and have a good day.